Hola y bienvenidos a Norton Spanish Basics. Today we're going to try to tackle the task of understanding accents. Now before we get too much into Spanish today, we're going to talk a little bit about English. Imagine you're in an English class and you have to read a paragraph of Shakespeare. And not a big deal. But imagine you have to read it in front of the whole class, whether it's a class of 50 or a large class of 100. Now if that thought makes you a little bit nervous, there's a simple reason for it. People generally don't like to make mistakes in front of others. Now, by suggesting that the text be something by Shakespeare, I was hoping you would be especially concerned about how to pronounce certain words that you may have never heard before. Now, whether you realize it or not, we do stress certain syllables in English words. Sometimes the stress, the place that we raise our voice up a little or make it a little stronger, can change the meaning of a word. So listen to the following words and see if you can hear the difference in the stress between them. Progress, progress. Dessert, desert. Produce, produce. Rebel, rebel. Now you may start realizing, hey, changing the stress is changing the meaning of the words. Hopefully you're able to hear the difference between them. Here are a couple sentences to think about it a little bit more. The soldier was involved in plenty of combat while stationed in the desert. The soldier did not desert his friend when the enemy tried to combat them. Okay, so those different stresses are changing the meaning of a word. Now some people might call that an accent or a stress. We're going to be calling it an acento tónico, a sounded accent. Now you might be wondering what all this has to do with Spanish. Let me explain. Spanish is really cool in this way because those written accents are nothing more but guides to help people know how to pronounce a word that they may not have ever seen before. We've got some rules that we follow in Spanish that help us to know how to read the words that we don't recognize. Now there are two rules and then a couple little add-on rules that go along with them, but the two main rules are this. First, if a word ends in a vowel, N or S, then the stress in the word will be on the next to last syllable. Here are a couple examples from some words that you should know. You've probably heard the word nada. Nada, nada, nothing. Nada, where's the stress? Nada or nada. Well, of course it's nada. So yes, like I said, if it ends in a vowel, it's on the next to last syllable. Nada. Same thing with limonada. Limonada on the next to last. How about this one? Zapatos. Zapatos. Well, you probably hear that the stress is on the pa. Zapatos. Manzanas. It's on the sa. Manzanas. Compro. Compro. It's on that com. All of these, it's on the next to last syllable. It ends in a vowel, N or S, and it's on the next to last syllable. So it's following the rule. No written accents are needed. Okay, so words ending in any consonant except N or S are stressed on the last syllable. In this category, we have all the verbs. Verbs all end in AR, ER, or IR. So we have like comer, comer. We don't say comer, comer. The stress is on the syllable ending in the vowel and R. Ciudad, ciudad. It ends in a D, not an N or an S. So the stress is on the last syllable, ciudad. Doctor, doctor. Ends in an R, not an N or an S, so the stress is on the last syllable. So if it's following rules 1 and 2, it's a good word. Now I don't know if you remember elementary school very well, but in my school, when you misbehaved, you got your name on the board. If you misbehaved again, you would get a little check next to your name. Now, we're doing the same thing when we write accents in Spanish. We're basically putting a check or a little mark over the vowel, the syllable of the vowel that's misbehaving. So here's rule 3. When rules 1 and 2 are not followed, a written accent is used. Okay. Once again, remember rule 1 was that words ending in vowel, N or S are stressed on the next to last syllable. Rule 2, words ending in any consonant except N or S are stressed on the last syllable. So if it breaks either one of those rules, that's when we use a written accent. For example, lápiz. Lápiz is a word that you learned in Spanish 1, hopefully, or that you're learning now in Spanish 1. Lápiz. Now it ends in a Z, not an N or an S, so the stress should be on the last syllable. But we don't say lapis, we say lapis. We're breaking the rule. The way we pronounce the word separates from the rule or is different from the rule. So we have to put an accent on the syllable that's getting the stress that shouldn't be receiving the stress. So we put an accent over the A. Lapis. Okay, here's another one. Compró. Compró. When you say he bought something, you say él compró something. Now, this is different from compro, which means I buy. Compró, the stress is on the end. It ends in a vowel, so we put an accent over that vowel that's breaking the rule, the syllable of the vowel, the vowel of the syllable that's breaking the rule. One more that you might be familiar with is estas. Estas sillas, these chairs. Estas plumas, these feathers or these pens. So estas follows the rule. Let's think about this. It ends in an S, next last syllable, estas. It follows the rule, no accent needed. However, if we're saying como estás, we don't say como estas, we say como estás. We pronounce it a little bit differently, so when we write it or read it, we've got to have that little check mark over the A that shows that that syllable is breaking the rule. Como estás. Okay, so that covers the meat of accents. Now there is one other type of accent that we use. We call it the acento diacrítico. Okay, it's an accent that differentiates between two words that sound alike and look alike, but we need to have something to differentiate their meaning. For example, you may have seen tú with an accent and tú without an accent, or él with an accent, él without an accent. Now we use el without an accent when we're saying the, el libro, el estudiante, el chico. When we use it as a definite article as the, it's just el, no accent. But if we're using it as he, we put an accent on it. Él tiene mi libro. Él tiene el libro. Sí is another one. Sí without an accent means if, but sí with an accent means yes. So that's the acento diacrítico. Now I hope you don't think of these rules as burdensome. Once I understood the rules and started to see it and apply it to the words I saw, it became very helpful for me when I would write papers or write notes to understand when words get accent and when words don't. It's really kind of logical once you get into it. And the beauty of it is when you are reading something in front of a class or in front of others, you know exactly where to put the stress. So if you need some extra help with this, or you want to read a little bit more about this, or look at the rules again, you can check out my show notes. Otherwise, keep on studying, keep on learning, y gracias por escuchar este podcast. Adiós.